43 million Americans owe 1.6 trillion in debt. Veterans, other Americans, older Americans. Many of our delinquent, default, meaning many are going to fall out of the workforce. They're going to work for cash. They're just not going to be as productive as they could be would they have a fresh start. Currently, under the undue hardship standard of the Brunner test, followed by most courts, almost impossible to discharge this debt. And that's why I'm introducing legislation, the Student Loan Bankruptcy Improvement Act, that modifies the law to require only hardship, meaning eliminating the undue hardship. I believe this strikes a balance, creating a more equitable and reasonable test, keeping the safeguards, like the means test, elevated test for the bankruptcy process, and doesn't really endanger the availability of student loans. I want to note that several members of this committee, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Swalwell, Ms. Ross, Ms. Lofgren, have joined to co-author my legislation. This legislation is also being supported by the Consumer Federation of America, Association of College Admissions Counseling, National Association of Student Loan Lawyers, Century Foundation, and the National Law Center. My first question will be for Judge Harner, Professor Baird, Professor Jacoby. Would you agree that by striking undue from the test strikes a fair balance in protecting the integrity of the bankruptcy and helping student loan borrowers move ahead? Judge Harner.
Thank you, Representative Correa, for that question. So I can't provide any advisory opinions, but what I can say is right now, the Brunner test, which you have up so nicely behind you, and the standard we're required to follow in the courts, this undue hardship, all of the case law focuses on that term. The definition is of the term undue hardship. So if legislation removes the word undue from that term, courts will have to rethink the standard. There will have to be a new definition. So it will reform student loan treatment in bankruptcy. I can't predict exactly how, but what I can say is I think courts would see it as a signal to rethink how student loan debts are treated, and it may provide the path that you were speaking of before.
Professor Baird.
I think it's an excellent approach. It's a surgical way to correct the problem of Brunner. Brunner was a mistake, but Brunner now binds all bankruptcy judges. Judge Harner and Judge Black don't have any choice. They're bound by circuit precedents. It was a mistake to have the Brunner test, which emerged, as Professor Jacoby said, under different circumstances. And this particular surgical approach, which essentially enables judges to press the reset button and reconsider how to strike the balance, I think is an excellent idea.
Professor Jacoby.
The reset reference is exactly what I was thinking as well. Circuit courts have said in their opinions that they have no reason to back away from the very harsh interpretation of undue hardship because Congress has kept that part the same, even as it's changed the other pieces. This would send the message to circuit courts and invite other courts to use a more appropriate standard.
To everybody here, quick question in my 40 seconds left. Eliminating undue, would that essentially tilt the system in favor of the debtors? Professor Baird?
No, the balance is so out of whack that this is just moving.
Judge Black.
I don't think it would. I think it would provide the courts with a little more flexibility in how to address these issues. And